Let me ask you a question. Why do some people work incredibly hard, yet never become successful, while others seem to achieve extraordinary results? Think about it. We all have the same 24 hours. We all work. We all struggle. We all want a better future. So why do the results look so different? The answer is hidden inside one powerful lesson from 3 idiots. And most people completely miss it. Every day millions of people wake up with the same goal. Better grades. Better jobs. More money. More followers. More success. And because everyone is chasing the same thing, life starts feeling like a race. A race where everyone is running faster and faster. But very few people stop to ask an important question. What exactly are we running toward? Here's a puzzle. If everyone is running toward success, why do so few people actually reach it? Maybe the problem isn't effort. Maybe the problem isn't talent. Maybe the problem is direction. Because running faster doesn't help. If you're running in the wrong direction. And this is where the first lesson begins. Most people spend their lives chasing success. Chasing money. Chasing recognition. Chasing status. But the movie teaches the exact opposite. Success is not something you chase. Success is something that follows you. The first lesson is excellence before success. Sounds simple. But almost nobody lives this way. The best athletes don't wake up thinking about trophies every day. The best musicians don't practice for applause. The best creators don't create only for views. They focus on becoming better. Most people become obsessed with results. Marks. Money. Promotions. Views. Followers. And slowly the result becomes more important than the skill itself. That's when frustration begins. Because results are never fully under your control. Imagine someone joins a gym. After 1 week they check the weighing scale. Nothing changed. 2 weeks later. Still nothing dramatic. And suddenly they feel like quitting. Not because the process failed. Because they expected results too soon. Now look at someone else. They stop checking the scale every day. Instead they focus on the process. One workout. One improvement. 1 day at a time. No obsession. No shortcuts. Just consistency. 6 months later. The second person gets the transformation. Not because they chase the result. But because they mastered the process that creates the result. And that's exactly how success works in real life. But here's where things get really interesting. Even if you understand this lesson, there's another mistake that keeps millions of people average. A mistake that schools unknowingly reward every single day. And it explains why some of the smartest people never become the most successful. But here's the bigger question. If education has existed for centuries, why do so many highly educated people struggle in the real world? Why do some students score incredible marks, yet struggle to solve simple real-life problems? The answer is uncomfortable. Because education often rewards something that life doesn't. But here's the bigger question. From a young age we're taught to memorize. Memorize the chapter. Memorize the formula. Memorize the definition. Memorize the answer. And if you repeat it correctly, you get rewarded. Good marks. Good grades. Good rankings. But life works differently. Life rarely asks, "What was the answer on page 47?" Life asks, "Can you solve this problem?" And that's where understanding becomes more valuable than memorization. Quick challenge. You've probably seen a bicycle thousands of times. Maybe you've ridden one for years. But can you explain exactly how a bicycle stays balanced while moving? Most people can't. Not because they're unintelligent. Because seeing something is not the same as understanding it. Today information is everywhere. AI knows facts. Google knows facts. Your phone knows facts. So information alone is no longer power. The real advantage is knowing what to do with that information. Imagine 2 students. One memorizes every answer. The other understands every concept. The first student may win the exam. But years later, the second student is often the one creating solutions. Building businesses. Leading teams. Changing industries. And yet, even people who understand this lesson often never reach their potential. Not because they're lazy. Not because they're untalented. But because every important decision in life is controlled by something stronger. Let me ask you something. What destroys more dreams? Failure? Or fear of failure? Most people think it's failure. But they're wrong. Because failure happens after action. Fear stops action from happening at all. Think about public speaking. Some people would rather stay silent than risk saying something wrong. Not because they have nothing to offer, but because fear convinces them they'll fail before they even begin. Think about how many people dream of starting a YouTube channel. They have ideas. They have talent. They have the equipment. But they never upload. Not because they can't. Because they're afraid of judgment. The same thing happens everywhere. People stay in jobs they hate, ignore opportunities they secretly want, and postpone their goals for years. Because fear keeps asking one question: what if I fail? Here's something interesting. When a child learns to walk, they fall hundreds of times. But they never decide walking isn't for them. They simply get up and try again. Years later, people rarely regret the things they tried. They regret the opportunities they ignored, the risks they never took, because regret lasts far longer than failure. And fear doesn't just affect individuals. It destroys teams too. When people become afraid to speak, innovation disappears. Which brings us to the next lesson. Most people think leadership is about authority, a bigger title, more power, more control. But real leadership works differently. A boss creates followers. A leader creates future leaders. When people are afraid, they stay silent. When people feel trusted, they share ideas. That's why great teams aren't built on fear. They're built on trust. And that's the hidden lesson. People don't give their best because they're forced to. They give their best because they feel valued. If these lessons helped you, share this video with someone who needs to hear them. And remember, the real competition was never with anyone else. It was always with the person you were yesterday.